Hello everyone, I'm Safia from Magic Light Artista. This is my Calligraphy for Beginners tutorial series and I'll be doing the alphabet in uppercase and lowercase. We do 10 styles from every letter. We have done up to letter V. So this will be the last tutorial for the lowercase alphabet. Today we will be finishing the lowercase alphabet. So watch till the end because at the end you'll be knowing 10 styles of every letter in the alphabet. As usual, we'll be using our Crayola markers. We started off with Crayola markers and we will be continuing with Crayola markers because that is the cheapest option you can find as a substitute for a calligraphy pen. Next, I will be using a pointed pen. So I'm gonna demonstrate it with the pointed pen as well as we have done in our previous tutorials. So if you don't have a Crayola marker or a pointed pen at home, you can still do calligraphy. All you need is any pen. So you can use a fine liner like this. Anything you can write with. It doesn't matter as long as you can write with it. You can use even a gel pen like this. All you have to do is follow my tutorial for calligraphy with any pen in the link above and you can do calligraphy in no time. Today we'll be learning W, X, Y, Z. So before we begin, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you will be the first one to know when I upload a new video. So let's begin with W. We will be doing the basic W. So upstroke, underturn, and then another underturn, and then a small comma. So this is the basic W we do in the calligraphy alphabet. So for the next style, I'm gonna do the same W with a different connector. So I do the two underturns and at the end of the connector I do a small loop instead of stopping there. So I do the two underturns and then I continue it into a loop to the next letter. So for the third style, I'll be adding a loop to the middle of the letter. Instead of stopping after one underturn, I continue that underturn to the next underturn by a loop. So you see here I do a loop and then continue it to the next letter. So for the fourth style, we're gonna start off with a loop and then I'm gonna combine style 2 and 3 with a loop in the middle and a loop at the end. So there'll be 3 loops in this W. So for the fifth style, this is going to be a bouncy W. So I have a small underturn in the beginning and then the second underturn is going to be a bit bigger, giving that bouncy effect. And at the end, I'm going to add a small loop to finish it off. So for the sixth style, this is going to be straight line W. So we have all straight lines forming the W, the usual we write in an alphabet. So for the seventh style, I'm going to combine the straight W and then the curvy one. I do a straight line V and then I do our usual curvy underturn. So it's a straight line V and a curvy underturn. So for the eighth style, we are going to do the same underturn W but the second underturn I'm going to extend it upwards and end it with a curl. So this can be used as an ending letter. It depends on how you use it. So for the ninth style, I think this style is a bit out of calligraphy, but I still like this wonky style. This has two underturns facing each other instead of being parallel to each other. So for the last style, we're gonna do a small flourish. I do the two underturns and then I go into oval flourishes at the end. I do two ovals as my flourish, one big and one small, overlapping each other. We have completed 10 styles of lowercase w. We can now move on to lowercase x. So let's begin with the basic X. We do a compound curve and then we draw a wavy upstroke across the compound curve. So for the second style, we're going to do the same X with the loop at the end of the upstroke. So we draw the compound curve and then we do the upstroke and then end it with the small loop. The difference is I add a loop at the end of the compound curve. At the end of the upstroke. So the third style is going to be almost similar, but instead of at the end of the upstroke, I add the loop to the beginning of the upstroke. So the second style has the loop in the end of the upstroke. Third style has it in the beginning of the upstroke. The fourth style is going to be a bit different from the three styles we did earlier. I do two C's, one in the correct direction and one upside down. I start off with the upside down C and then I do a normal C combined to that C. So as the fifth style, I'm going to add swirls to the end of these C's, end and the beginning of these C's. So I end the first form with a swirl and the second form I start off with a swirl. Seventh one is almost similar to the first style, but instead of a wavy upstroke, we do a very straight upstroke. The seventh style, that would be a Bouncy X. So I drag the compound curve's second turn down a little bit to give that bouncy effect. And then for the eighth style, we do the combined C's and then I put a crossbar across the two C's to give it a new style. For the ninth style, I'm going to start this at the waistline and then come down and do an underturn. And then for the upstroke, I started a bit lower than usual with a small curve and then end it at the waistline. For the 10th style, we're going to do a continuing X. So I come down from the waistline and then continue from a loop to another loop and then end it with a small curve. So we have done 10 styles of X. Now we can do Y. So for the first style of Y, the basic Y, we do the compound curve and then the descending loop. The first turn of the compound curve, we are going to make it a bit closer and then end it with the descending loop. So for the second style, I do an upstroke and then do an underturn and the descending loop. So the difference in the earlier one is, earlier one I started with a compound curve, but this one I started with an upstroke. So for the third style, this is just like the second style, but I end it different. Instead of going all the way up to the waistline with my descending loop, I end it at the baseline. So for the fourth style, we do the compound curve and then continue it with a small loop to the descending loop. So instead of stopping after the compound curve, I continue it with a small loop. So it's a continued Y. So for the fifth style, I'm going to continue the upstroke as well with a loop to the underturn. So this is a continued version of the second style. So there are 3 loops in this Y, including the descending loop. For the sixth style, this is also going to be a continued Y. So I do the compound curve and then continue it with an overturn to the descending loop. So instead of the loop we did earlier, we do an overturn to continue it to the loop. So for the seventh one, we end the Y or the descender with a small curl. So we don't do the loop at the end of the descender here. So even on the eighth style, we do a different type of a ending. So this is the same Y with an different loop at the end of the descender. For the ninth style, we add a loop in the middle of the descender. So before going all the way up to the waistline, the descender, I'm going to put a loop in the middle and then continue it all the way to the waistline. And then for the last style, we change the upstroke a bit curvy, and then even the descender I added a small flourish. You can see I added a small flourish at the end of the descender, so it's a different style. So we're done with Y. Let's begin with the Z. So for the first style Z, we do a curved overturn and then the descending loop. So it's a little bit curved overturn instead of the straight overturn we do. For the second style of Z, we do the same overturn and we add a loop in the middle of the descender. So the descending loop has a loop in the middle of it before going to the waistline. For the third style, we're going to make the overturn a bit bigger and the loop a bit smaller. So we do a bigger overturn and then the descending loop is going to be comparatively small. For the fourth style, I'm going to start with a small loop. So instead of the full overturn, we're going to start with a loop and then do a loop to continue it to the descending loop. Fifth style is going to be a bit different. We do an upstroke and then a loop and then do a small squiggly downstroke and then our descending loop. So here we replaced our overturn with an upstroke and downstroke combined with a small loop. For the sixth style, we're going to do straight lines as our overturn. So there's upstroke and a downstroke and a descending loop. The seventh one is going to be what we know really well, the normal Z, but with extended lines in the beginning and at the end. For the eighth one, this is going to be continued with loops. Instead of stopping at the end of each line, we add a loop there. So for the ninth one, I'm going to do a compound curve and then put a line across as the crossbar of the Z. The 10th style, I'm going to continue this Z in one line. So I do an overturn and then loop and then descending loop and then add a loop in the middle of the descending loop as well. So I'm gonna do the Crayola one again because it didn't come nice. So you see it clearly at the last one. I have 2 loops. So we have completed all 10 styles of W, X, Y and Z. So let's move on to our words of the day. So finally we have ended our lowercase alphabet. So it's wonderful to end the alphabet and learn 10 styles of each letter in the alphabet. So thank you everyone for being with me throughout this whole series, and stay tuned. We will be having more and more videos about calligraphy, and our uppercase series will be coming up soon. So I guess I'll see you in my next video. So don't forget, I have a practice sheet for every letter in the description below. And also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification so you'll know when I upload a video as soon as I do. Bye bye.